Saints fans and Hoodats from all over the world, this is Kyle T. Mosley here with the Bayou Blitz. Man, we got a great show tonight. We got a little bit of old with a little bit of new, and we're going to give it right to you. Man, before we go on, I got to just say this. Thank you so much, all of you listeners, just for following us and being with us. So if you can, smash up the likes. Go ahead and enter your comments, your questions, anything that you guys have, because we got a great show in store for you. Of course, I am the host, Mr. Kyle T. Mosley, and we got the best co-host in the whole world, Mr. Bob Rose. What's going on, Bob?
Not much, Mr. Mosley. I'm going old school Saint shirt today in honor of a couple things. Number one, for all you old school boxing fans like myself, and I know you, Kyle. The marvelous one, Marvin Hagler, passed away earlier this evening. Rest in peace, champ. I was a Sugar Ray Leonard fan growing up, but man, those welterweight and middleweight wars through the 80s, they were something to behold. Yeah.
He, as well as Thomas Hitman Hagler, man, that was a great fight as well. So those are great fights. So rest well, and condolences to the Hagler family. But I'm so happy. I'm just kind of so ecstatic because I've been trying to get this brother who is my family. He is someone I love dearly. He is none other, and you guys have heard his voice for many, many years ago on Saints News Radio, but we got him on video finally, and it is Kenny, the Body Snatcher Times. What's going on, Ken?
Good to be here. I'm excited because both of y'all is really energetic so far, and I'm feeling the vibe. It's moving me, and more. I miss you guys, and I love you guys. So keep in mind that we're gonna put the metal to the pedal, and we're gonna give them a great show. Because I know my man back there got all with his inspiration and his knowledge, he ready to crank it up. So so buckle your seat, fans, and lock in and get your popcorn and your soda and sit down, and we gonna deliver today.
All right, cool. If you guys don't know who this man is, he was let me just get it right. He was a 3-time state champion of Florida wrestling.
Both of you guys faded out.
Okay, can you hear me now? Were you 3 times wrestling champ of Florida?
Yeah.
3 times wrestling champ. Not only that, he went to Southern University, so he's a Jaguar, and his team was the first team to defeat Eddie Robinson and the JSU Grambling Tigers in the Bayou Classic. And not only that, he was the MVP, defensive MVP of that Bayou Classic. And he was drafted by none other than Bill Walsh, the Hall of Fame coach of the San Francisco 49ers. So that's Kenny Body Snatcher Times, guys. And, I forgot this. He led the league in the USFL in sacks over Reggie White. Yes, this man here, Kenny Snatcher. What's going on, Snatcher? Okay, you fading out? Okay. Well, we'll get Snatcher back in.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, all right, cool. We got you. We can hear you now. Okay, Bob, let's talk a little bit about some of the Saints. What's going on in the Houdat Nation, man? We got a lot of activity that's been going down. I can't tell you, it's been a flurry of activity, right? And the Saints still are not within getting under the $182 million in cap space at this moment. So just kind of give us an update. What has been going on as far as any contract resignings, releases, anything to that nature?
Like you said, Kyle, it's to call it a flurry of activity this week is probably an understatement. And this team is not done. Just to get everybody up to date. First of all, probably the most surprising news to me was the fact that the team at the 11th hour of the franchise tag deadline, they franchise tagged free safety Marcus Williams. A lot of us didn't expect that to happen. The Saints have only used the franchise tag twice in their franchise history, once on Mr. Drew Brees and the other time on JG80, Jimmy Graham. So the fact that they locked up Marcus Williams probably takes safety off of their list of needs heading into the offseason. As far as folks, we knew that releases were going to come. We knew that they were going to be painful. We talked about Thomas Morstead's emotional release last week at this time. Morstead was only one of a handful of players. The list so far of cuts by the Saints: Thomas Morstead, as we know, guard Nick Easton, tight ends Jared Cook and Josh Hill, wideout Emmanuel Sanders, linebacker Quan Alexander, defensive tackle Malcolm Brown, and cornerback Janoris Jenkins. Listen, I know we'll get into the restructures and the re-signings in a second, but I know a lot of you folks on social media are ready to jump off of the bridge. Hey, the Saints aren't going to be able to field a competitive. Look, they do that. Every team does this every year. It is part of the business. All of these moves were moves that many of us expected. Janoris Jenkins, in my opinion, is the biggest loss from a player aspect, and it puts cornerback right at the top, if not the top, of needs for this team heading into free agency or the draft. But all of these players, or any of these players, excuse me, with the exception of Josh Hill, who just signed with our new enemy Dan Campbell in Detroit today, any of these players could come back at a cheaper salary. And a couple of them I expect to. Janoris, maybe not. I think he's going to get a lot of interest on the open market. But Quan Alexander is high on the list of teams. Interest between he and the team back at him to return at a reduced rate. This team is still going to field a competitive product this season. Fear you not. Because some other moves that they made, they re-signed running backs Ty Montgomery and Dwayne Washington. To maintain that depth at the running back core, and they re-signed safety and better known as special teams contributor JT Gray. I think that's an underrated move too. They have restructured the contracts of, as we know, Drew Brees, defensive tackle David Onyemata, kicker Will Lutz, linebacker Demario Davis, defensive end Cam Jordan, safety Malcolm Jenkins, offensive lineman guard Andrus Peat, and wideout Michael Thomas. With all that having taken place, the Saints still sit at about, I believe, $16 million over the salary cap, which is going to be about $182 million. They still have some moves to make. I know that there's going to be a couple more releases coming, undoubtedly a few more restructures. And expect the team to work feverishly to try to get contract extensions done with Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk. What that means, each player is under contract for this season, so fear you not, but they're on their fifth-year rookie options. So they're each playing at about, I think, $11 million per player of a salary cap hit this year. That's significant. If they can get contract extensions done with these players, that will allow the team to kind of backload a new contract, which will be lucrative but backloaded, and allow them to slash a lot more money off of that salary cap. Okay. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think you said a mouthful, man. That's a lot going on right now. Big surprises, and any big surprise other than Janoris Jenkins? I thought for sure Malcolm Brown would get something restructured. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was hoping Malcolm Brown would get restructured. Listen, he is an underrated contributor for this defense. He's been one whale of a player, and his importance, in my opinion, was highlighted by the 3 games he missed last year with a shoulder injury. The Saints gave up their highest 3 rushing totals in the last 4 years with Brown out of the lineup. He gives you nice effort as a pass rusher inside, but he makes his bones as a run stopper. And Kenny, feel free to jump in whenever you want. You know, as a defensive player, how important stopping the run is. And Malcolm Brown is an outstanding run defender.
Absolutely. It's when you have a run stopper, you really can control the offense. It is a defense that's designed to make and force you to pass. And when you're forced to pass, you're playing into the defensive coordinator's hand. And as a defensive tackle, you have to have something that you bring to the table. You either got to be a great pass rusher or you have to be a great run stopper. And with that being said, now the NFL's teams are really dependent on run stoppers because the edgers, rushers, and all the blitzes they have is a big factor when it comes to rushing and the quarterback. But you got to keep in mind that those guys as a run stop is so valuable. It is amazing because the kind of beating they take down in the trenches, and to survive a season, and to be named as one of the elite players as a defensive tackle, you really have some good talent and some good tools. And overall, my hat goes off to all the players on the defensive line, because a little bit of what a tackle knows, the defensive end has to know too. So it's various all across the front.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on what you were saying about the trade, because sometimes, and it was excellent what you said, but sometimes when we get traded, we don't really realize the compassion that's in it from a team standpoint. And it may seem harsh, but at the same time, some players is sitting out there knowing they won't get traded, like Russell Wilson. He know he won't get traded, but I'm just using him as an example because he makes the Seattle competitive. And see, when you make a team competitive, then you are a valuable increment part of that whole franchise. Okay, another reason they might be wanting to have a special running back that they might not have a running back that may need to catch out the backfield to make their offense more potent. So they trade up to get that. So some players don't know why they're getting traded, and sometimes the owner is fed up with it. He sits behind the curtain and we don't get enough say so from him because he used a snowball effect. But sometimes he steps in and he wants certain people traded off his team. So whoever gets traded, just keep in mind it's a business, like you said earlier. It is such a business. So there's various reasons why they traded: to upgrade your team. You might not have the right chemistry on that team with that guy. Great player, but not great chemistry. So I just want to touch bases on that.
Oh, good points, man. We on that defensive line, especially for the past couple of seasons, Bob, you saw such an improvement. You had Malcolm Brown. You have this season the emergence of Trey Hendrickson, who has always been kind of under the radar, but this season he had the opportunity to catapult and get into the starting lineup due to Davenport's injury. A lot of people were asking off the record, man, what's happening? What's going to happen with the depth? Who's behind a Malcolm Brown? Who's behind those guys that really the Saints fans can feel a little bit more comfortable with going forward?
And truly, those are legitimate concerns and great questions. We're so happy that you fans feel comfortable to reach out to us and ask us those questions. That's what we're here for. Listen, as far as the edge goes, you have to love a player like Trey Hendrickson because he plays with a nonstop motor. That's the kind of guy that every coach would love to have a roster full of. But Hendrickson's production up until this season was, we'll call it pedestrian at best. Now, I realize stats aren't everything, But like you said, Kyle, this team's strength along their defensive line is the depth, both at tackle and end. And that's why they could afford to make moves like this. Like you pointed out a minute ago, Kenny, like they could afford to not overpay a Trey Hendrickson or make a release with a Malcolm Brown for salary cap reasons. Now let's start with defensive end. Obviously, we have Cam Jordan. He's not going anywhere. They just restructured his contract. He's continuing to be the face of the defense. Now, on the other side, Marcus Davenport, if he can stay healthy, which I realize, folks, is a big if, but if he could stay healthy, offenses respect what he can do. When he's on the field, he attracts consistent double teams, which helps the rest of his defensive line mates. Now, with him in and out of the lineup, that's what gave Hendrickson a chance to prove what he could do, like you pointed out a minute ago, Kyle. But I'll tell you what, I'm a huge fan of Carl Granderson. He had a terrific second year this year, former undrafted guy from Wyoming. But if you look back, if you look back at that 2019 draft, Carl Granderson coming up to the draft would have been a day 2 pick if not for some legal problems. He has terrific athleticism, nice length, and great burst to the football from that edge. And I look for a breakout season from Carl Granderson. And remember, too, I missed this in the re-signings. They re-signed Noah Spence. Now, that name is kind of easy to forget because he's been hurt the last 2 years. Bad luck kind of injuries. The kid is not injury prone. But he was a terrific pass rusher with Tampa Bay his first 3 years in the league. He's not an every down defender. That's what you look for guys along the edge, just what you look from guys like Davenport or Granderson. But Spence is a guy that could give you some quality depth in pass rush situations. Inside, we know that we have David Onyemata. He's an emerging star. I think just about everybody will agree with that. But the Saints have hit really lucky the last 2 seasons with undrafted free agents, college free agents. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit tomorrow morning in our piece on the Saints News Network defensive tackle preview. But I know that for a fact that these coaches are very high on Shy Tuttle and Malcolm Roach, the 2 undrafted guys each of the last 2 years. They've given this defense some quality snaps at defensive tackle and gave the Saints or helped give the Saints the deepest defensive tackle rotation in the league. And that allowed guys like Rankins, Malcolm Brown, and Onyemata to stay fresh late in games. Now, when you lose 2 guys in Malcolm Brown and probably Sheldon Rankins, who they're not going to be able to afford to re-sign, they're going to have to bolster depth in some way, shape, or form. But because of the presence of Onyemata, Tuttle, and Roach inside, and Granderson, Davenport, and Jordan outside, this team does not have to overspend in free agency, or they don't have to use a first-round draft choice at the defensive line. If they do, it's it's because it's a best player available, but they don't have to reach for a need, is what my point is. Okay,
good stuff. Snatcher, you played nose as well as you played edge, right?
Yes.
As a young rookie, because I talked to Malcolm Roach's representatives, they believe he's going to have a really solid year, like you said. What do you think? How do you make that leap from probably rookie year to your second year in the league? What are the coaches expecting of you?
Well, number one, you know the system. You know the defensive plays. Number two, you got to realize you have to play your position, do your job. And there's a lot of things come along with playing that position. You have to be quick. You have to be strong. You have to be determined. And you have to realize that if you don't hold down your position, then there's somebody breathing over your back. It's not given to you. So you really, in the mind of an NFL player, you're playing under pressure. I mean, the walk and the strut will kind of fool you, that I got it made. But believe me, all them guys are playing on a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. And that's what makes you function a little bit better. I know it did me. Okay. So my answer to you is that when he makes this leap, he has to buy into whatever Sean Payton is delivering to him. He cannot come in there out of shape. He have to stay around the camp on off season just to show that I'm a family affair. If they allow him to, he has to bring a lot to the table, because the second year they're looking for you to become the umbrella, to open up, to flourish, to do and to buy in and sustain what you're supposed to do, because they got already an inkling of what you can do. We want to really see what you really about, and playing time has a lot to do with it. You know, you have to get the minutes in, and from there, that will give you the opportunity and other people the opportunity to see what you are capable of doing when you have the minutes on that football field. It's really a tough position, and the second year is the make or break year generally for a lot of players. And the reason why is because they already spent some money on you the first year, and you have to be like a breakout player that first year, like Russell Wilson. His first year, you know, he was like unbelievable. You have to come now with that kind of type of talent and play in your second season. It's important.
Good analysis. All right. We had a question from Anna to you, Bob. She wanted to know, is there any possibility the Saints could re-sign Malcolm Brown?
Sure. Yeah, because again, this was a business decision made by the Saints. It wasn't because they didn't like Malcolm Brown's contributions, and it's not because they don't like him as a player. It's just, again, they have a salary cap goal, and you know that's what made Brown the financial figure expendable, not Brown the player.
Right.
I think he's going to be a tough one to re-sign, though, because once that open market hits, and actually, since he got released before the open market, before the beginning of free agency, he's free to sign with any team as of the moment he was released. And Kenny, you just pointed out how valuable those interior defenders are. They free everything up for those edge guys and for those blitzers. So if a team is smart, they're going to come after Malcolm Brown. I do think that there is some interest, Anna, from the Saints in bringing Brown back, and Quan Alexander, as I mentioned before. But yeah, there's going to be some competition out there for his services now.
Right. All right. Let's talk a little bit about one offensive player that people are concerned about. I know the Saints do have Alvin Kamara, All-Pro running back now. He now is an All-Pro, and congratulations, Alvin. He just opened up his new business, the Big Squeezy, in New Orleans. The juice bar, so it's pretty cool. And get this, he's sponsoring a NASCAR car as well. So he's getting into a lot of stuff, man. But his running mate this year, a lot of people thought Mark Ingram could have had a chance to come back to the New Orleans Saints, but he went over to the Houston Texans to rejoin Cully, the coach that coached him at the Ravens for the past couple of seasons. So he's over in Houston for a very modest 2-year, $2.5 million deal. Now we have Latavius Murray out there, right? Latavius Murray can do a couple of things. Either he can restructure his contract because he's still under contract with the Saints, or if he does not restructure the contract, Bob, do you think he is possibly going to hit the streets?
Yeah, I think that's an absolute possibility. And listen, I love Latavius Murray, the player. I thought that he played outstanding football when they brought him in to replace Mark Ingram. But ideally, the Saints need that number 2 back to play at about the rate that Mark Ingram just signed with the Texans for. Murray, but cutting Murray as of right now saves about $6.5 million of salary cap space, if I'm not mistaken, or pretty close to it. Like you said, Kyle, he's under contract for 2 more seasons. The ideal thing for New Orleans would be to kind of restructure his deal, maybe add a voidable year and push some of that money back, like Mickey Loomis and his staff have done so adeptly over the last couple of years. So Murray definitely fits in this need in this offense. But remember, when it comes to restructuring, the player has to be willing to do that too if the team comes to them. There's no law saying that they have to do it or anything like that, because the long and the short of it, this is their money. So if Latavius isn't willing to restructure, or if the team is looking to go another direction, I think Murray is a very viable candidate to be released in the next day or two.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, I think this year, I really feel the energy in trading and salary structure and contracts. This year, I do believe the following players that's coming in the league gonna end up asking for a no trade clause in the contract. And like you said earlier, they can do whatever they want. It's their money. They can do whatever, and that makes a lot of sense. But if you come in with a no trade clause in your contract, and I think this is where it's going to head, because if you think back years back, there was no guaranteed money. Now there is tons of guaranteed money. And why? Because the game is very violent. And now you get this peace of mind when you get this guaranteed money, and you can play reckless and abundance. But now I do believe, and we need to keep an eye on this, it's going to come to a no trade clause, and a lot of, even now with the veterans, they might try to slip some in there. So we just keep a mind on that, because that's really raising up the bar right now.
Yeah. A lot of these quarterbacks are dictating how they're going to move around. Russell Wilson, Watson down in Houston. Cully said something in his press conference that was kind of mind-boggling. That anyway, we'll talk about that at another time. But when we look at quarterbacks for the New Orleans Saints, and we still have to talk about this. Sean Payton has gone on record once again that he wants Jameis Winston. He said he wants Jameis to come in and compete and be that guy. All right, let me throw this at you, Snatcher. When a coach says that publicly on the air, and he says he wants Kenny the Body Snatcher time to come in and compete and be that guy for my franchise, what is he saying?
He's saying that I'm putting everything on the front line. I'm pinpointing this. Now, you threw for 5,000 yards. That's not bad. What we need to do is eliminate all the interceptions. Okay. Compete. He's saying you cannot stay the same. There must be a huge amount of improvement. And I'm backing you up. I'm in your corner. And the only reason I'm in your corner because I see the ability. I see that you're capable. And I see that I watch your mannerism around the team player. You're great chemistry. You're not a problem. And I want to see you succeed. I want to see you successful. See,
right.
This is getting off the seat and standing next to him, because any coach cannot put themselves out like that unless they really have a great desire in this person being successful. It has to be some compassion in there. And when I say that, there is a need for understanding. See, here's the thing. Do you say what's best? See, both of them is inviting. Both of them sound good. But when you do what's right, everybody's included. When you do what's best, you leave somebody out. You see, so that goes back to the trading. You do what's best. You're not going to do what's right. So when he stepped out like that, Winston has to decide, is I'm going to do what's right, or I'm going to do what's best. And both of those are inviting. Both of them are encouraging, but somebody's being left out. So what should you do? Do what's right. And then no one's left out.
Well, and that's a good point. And Anna is asking this kind of same point here. Who's he going to be competing with? You know, Drew Brees. Well, hold. Let me just finish this thought, because Brees hasn't really said I'm gone, right? And Taysom Hill has a big contract that we still have to talk about. Can he restructure, right? So, who is he competing with? Go, Snatcher.
He's competing with his past. He's competing with those 30 interceptions. He's competing with finding his new regime and inspiring and motivating his team. He has a lot he's going to fight for. He has a lot that he has to compete against. It may not be a human, but it's a lot of flaws that's there, that's standing beside him. And only person can see that is himself when a coach say that to you. Because if you look over his right shoulder, he don't see Drew Brees. He don't look over his left shoulder and don't see Drew Brees. So what he has to say, okay, let me not get in my own way. Let me get out of my way. Because if you get in your own way, you're going to end up the same way you were. So it is a huge competition. It's nonverbal, it's non-visual, but it's riding on his shoulder and is in his ear. Every night he lay down, I got to function at 100%. Every day I walk on the field, I got to be from 0 to 100. It ain't 99.9.
So look, and Ken, you make a good point. Bob is you know, did Mr. Sean Payton become that guru of the mind and psychology, and is he putting it out there and making Winston think, hold on, man, I haven't signed, y'all haven't offered me, like, hold on, what you mean come in and compete? So does that like kind of help some motivation there, Bob? What do you think?
You better believe it does. And we know that Sean Payton loves to get inside of people's heads, be it opposition, fans, media, or even his own players. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jameis Winston is going to face a little bit of competition for this job, this year, but much more so than that. Exactly like you just said, Kenny. Jameis Winston is competing against Jameis Winston and the expectations for Jameis Winston. The talent and the physical attributes have always been there from day one, probably since he picked up a football. But the specter of unfulfilled expectations, the specter of turnover after turnover after turnover, the specter of another quarterback coming in to the franchise where he last quarterback and winning a Super Bowl, all that is on Jameis Winston. Not to mention the rather sizable shadow left by number 9, Drew Brees.
Tell it, brother. Tell it. That's what I'm talking about right there. You preaching now, man. You telling the truth.
Right. And all three of us are have been competitors in our lives in different aspects and different levels. And as a competitor, we're not even talking football here. As a competitor, all those specters, they weigh on you and they motivate you. They can either motivate you or they can crush you. So in many, many ways, Jameis Winston faces a crossroads. We all know that. But Jameis Winston faces a crossroads bigger than what possibly he even imagined at this point last year. He's going to be 28 years old, so still his entire career, entire life in front of him. I think, are you all ready for my quarterback predictions?
Go ahead.
Okay. Because Anna, I know you've been prodding me and poking me for weeks now to try to get this out of me too. Here's what I think is going to happen with Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints quarterback situation. First of all, I still believe that Sean is telling us the truth and that he wants Jameis to be his next quarterback. We're going to find out in the next 72 hours, because I think that if that's true, they're going to have to get the deal done, at least in principle, before the start of free agency, because they don't want to get in a bidding war. What I think is going to happen is the New Orleans Saints are going to sign Jameis Winston to a 3-year contract with that 3rd year voidable at about 18 to 20 million ballpark average per year. Lower, much lower than the market average for quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks. Look at what Cam Newton just got from New England. We're talking somewhere in that range. So a solid 2-year contract out of Jameis with a voidable 3rd year. Then the Saints are going to draft a quarterback in either the 1st or 2nd round for only the 2nd time in their history. And I got a few names out there that we could throw in the subsequent shows. What this does, that adds yet another specter for Mr. Winston. You want to compete for your job? Yes. You want to compete for your livelihood, not life, excuse me. You want to compete for your livelihood? We're going to bring in a guy to do it. This is a win-win situation for New Orleans now, because you have Jameis Winston at a fairly cheap rate with a lot to prove. If he proves it, you have a rookie quarterback, and then you can trade in another year or two for a potential boatload of draft picks if this guy shines in the preseason. If Jameis doesn't work out, you are training and developing a rookie who was probably not going to start on day one anyway, no matter what happened. You are training and developing a rookie for about a year. Then you can make a move with him, trade a 29, 30-year-old Jameis Winston to a team, not for as high a draft choices as the previous scenario, but to a team that, hey, we need a veteran signal caller. This guy still has a ton of potential, everything that we just mentioned, 5,000-yard passer and all that. So either way, that's why I think that this is going to be the situation for New Orleans.
Yes, Snatcher.
To keep in mind, to piggyback on what you were saying, also we got to keep in mind that it's not going to be given to him, but he has to realize that when Coach Payton says that, he's putting his neck under the chopping blocks verbally, and that's not a good place for a coach. Now, and I can understand why he said that, because you have a system, an offensive system that is very, very successful. You got the personnel around you. You have a great defense. Okay, what we don't want you to do is lose games. And that's what you did in Tampa. You lost games. And when I say that, you lost game, you will be up, but you're through three interceptions in that game, and they'll capitalize and score 14 points, and they'll beat you. Yep. So my point to this whole ordeal is he don't need you to come in and carry the weight as Drew Brees did. He wants you to come and fit in, and especially don't get in your own way. If he can keep it down under 7 interceptions the whole year, I think they'd be very, very successful. And the offense is one of the top rated offense in the league. So Coach Payton has no doubt in his mind, can this go? Can this offense move? It is one of the most potent offense in the NFL. It fears people. And when it's running and it's clicking, look out. So my thing is, Winston, don't get in your own way. If you hear what I'm saying, don't get in your own way.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line, right? And Drew Brees told him the same thing. Instead of looking for that big play all the time, get the ball down the field. That's one thing that I guess fans and some outside critics kind of fail to realize. Oh, they say, you get Saints are just dink and dunk. Well, the key is to get the ball into the end zone. Yeah. And you have a better chance of getting it into the end zone the closer you get. Is that not right? You get a better chance of slam dunk the closer to the goal. Do you not, Snatch?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I do understand what you're saying. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't make him what?
Drink.
No, you're wrong. No. The new regime is you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him think.
Ooh.
The horse has to eat. If he don't drink water and you take him down there, he don't want the water because he has to think. Anything a human being does has to think.
Think.
Yeah, you have to think. So what I'm saying is, Sean Payton could take him and put him under the center, Winston under the center, but he can't make him throw a complete pass. He has to think what to do, what's right. In other words, now the whole thing is, do we put the buggy in front of the horse or the horse in front of the buggy? Do we want to go or do we want to be stagnant? Put the horse in front of the buggy, you'll go some places. So in other words, you take the horse to the water, but you cannot make him drink.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, whoever the next Saints quarterback is, and I put my predictions officially out there now. Whoever the Saints quarterback is has the best offensive line in football in front of him. A young offensive line. They have an all-pro running back that is the best run-pass threat in the league at the position. They have an all-pro wide receiver who's coming back healthy and has something to prove, by the way. Don't think for 1 second that Michael Thomas doesn't have a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, and he's got his mind back.
Yeah.
On target, right?
Yep. And you have a couple young and upcoming receivers in Deontay Harris and Marquez Callaway. Not to mention a young and upcoming tight end in Adam Troutman.
And don't forget Lil Jordan Humphrey now.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big physical target. Good through the middle of the field, very vital for a receiver. And you have your deep threat in Traquan Smith. I would like to be 10, 12 years younger, and I play quarterback for the Saints for free. I mean, whoever's stepping into this guy, and you have a play caller on the sideline like Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael, and that offensive staff that is not only offensive innovators, but there's a lot of cohesion in that group too. These guys have been together a long time, so they're all on the same page, which is vital. Whoever is the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, it's a very enviable situation.
Okay, Bob, I have to throw this question out at you. Why not Taysom?
Because not a quarterback.
Okay.
Why not? He's not a quarterback. Listen,
a lot of people drop their soda then. Go ahead.
I know it. I know it. And listen, how could you not root for Taysom Hill, the person, and Taysom Hill, the football player? Again, like Trey Hendrickson on the other side of the ball, Taysom Hill is the type of competitor, athlete, and person that every coach wants 45 or 50 of on their team. But as far as skill set, what Taysom does best is exactly what they've been using him for in this offense. He moves around. You get his athleticism in open space. He's a hard as heck worker. He has terrific open field running ability. He runs like a fullback, and he's worked very hard on his pass receiving ability, both route running and catching. As a quarterback, I will be the first to admit the games he played in place of Drew Brees last year, especially those two Falcon games, I was impressed at how patient he was going through his progressions. But when you look closer at that game, the stat line was pretty. Yeah, he did. He played well enough for them to win, and most importantly, didn't lose them the game. But he left an awful lot of plays on the field. Now, I realize young quarterbacks tend to do that, but he'd had 2 years in this offensive system, practices, film study, meetings, etc. You can't have your core. Alvin Kamara was completely nullified as a pass receiver when Taysom Hill was behind center. And I mean, that's 25% of your offense that you've automatically just thrown out the window. Taysom is extremely mobile. I still don't trust his accuracy. He has great arm strength. He can make all the throws. I don't like his accuracy, and I don't like his vision as a quarterback. My opinion.
Okay. All right. We do have a question here from Donald. He wanted to know who would be the next wide receivers coach. I know that they moved Ronald Curry, who was partly over the wide receivers, to quarterbacks coach. You still have Curtis Johnson, who is senior offensive assistant, and he does do a lot of work with the wide receivers still. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I sorry to interrupt. I thought Coach Johnson was still there.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was an opening.
Yeah, So Ronald Curry was helping out with the wide receivers, and it's kind of a interesting switch over to quarterbacks coach for him, but that also gives him an opportunity to understand designing the plays, being up on what's happening behind the scenes with Pete Carmichael as well as Sean Payton, and also that gives him a chance probably within a year or two to either become an offensive coordinator, head coach, because he's been mentioned as a probable candidate for jobs in the future anyway. So Donald Taysom is unselfish, great team player, all about the team. Correct. All right, Snatcher. Let's talk a little bit, man. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, those guys for the New Orleans Saints, they restructured their contracts. They're going to be back on defense. You as a defensive player, what did you like about what you saw out of those two veterans this past season?
Well, first of all, they were they showed up to play. And when you show up to play, you ignite the rest of the players around you. These guys come to the game with great intentions of winning. The way they play the game is hustle, hustle, hustle. And any defensive player that plays defense ever, you can kind of get out of position a little bit, but if you have hustle and desire and determination, you can make up for certain plays sometime. I like the fact that Jordan, he seems to uplift his teammates. He has his head into the game. You can watch how he walks around. You can watch how he huddles up. That is an aura about himself. And the aura about himself translate to other players. Because when you look in the huddle and you see an all-pro over there who just have 15 sacks, he didn't get them 15 sacks because he was single. He mostly was double team. And that has a lot to do with effort and energy. So I give them kudos, but I'm so amazed at how long they've been playing and not been injured. Jordan, I mean, it's been amazing.
That is a great point. Thank you for that segue to Bob Rose here. Bob, let's talk about the linebackers. Like Snatcher said, those two guys have been playing such a long time, no major injuries to them. Cam did have a little injury towards the end of 2019. Yeah. Remember? Yeah, he had a torn muscle, but it did not slow him down totally, right? And Demario Davis, he's getting up in age, right? And we talked about the linebacker situation. What's going to happen, man? This league is about fast linebackers, speed guys. What's happening? What's the next step? What's the next person? Where's the depth?
And because of that, I think linebacker is a legitimate need for this team as they head into both free agency and the draft. Listen, this defense flows around Demario Davis. Cam Jordan might still be an emotional leader, certainly one of, but the defense is Demario Davis's. And yeah, that man he's my favorite Saint. I'll make no bones about it. And he's a terrific person on and off the field too. Both he and Cam are. And DeMario's athleticism is highlighted by the fact that a lot of Dennis Allen's defensive alignments were run last year in particular with only 2 linebackers on the field, even base defense. That's a testament to how athletic your linebackers are. DeMario for sure. And Anzalone has good athleticism. You know, we could debate another time for his ability to read offenses. That's the problem. This defense got a tremendous upgrade when they traded for Quan Alexander, which is why I think once he's healthy, I think that there's bona fide interest to bring Alexander back. Even if they do that, though, I think that we're going to see the team bring in another vet linebacker, a young veteran linebacker or 2. Remember, when they got Davis, when they signed Davis as a free agent 3 years ago, I think he was 28 at the time. So that's about the sweet spot for a lot of the free agents that the Saints will be looking for. Not household names, the so-called second-tier free agents who are looking to make a big contract and are in the prime of their athletic careers. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they're going to draft a linebacker, at least one linebacker in the draft too. And they not only expect but need last year's 3rd-round pick Zach Bond to make big strides this year. And I think he will. I think that they had their eye on Bond for 2021 when they made that pick last year anyway. But a couple names to keep an eye on in free agency. A guy that's very familiar to Saints fans and players, Devondre Campbell. Very, very athletic guy. Just ask Alvin Kamara how well he plays in pass coverage because Kamara always struggled as a pass receiver against the Falcons. Denzel Perryman, former Miami University guy. I'm a big fan of Denzel. He's played really well for the Chargers, can hit a ton. Raekwon McMillan, Jared Davis, Reuben Foster are a couple other names. All those guys are between 26 and 28 years old. And again, all 5 of them that I mentioned are extremely athletic. You need sideline to sideline guys in this day and age of the NFL. Like you said, Kenny, long gone is the days where a Vaughn Johnson, for example, who was, by the way, very underrated athletically. But Vaughn Johnson is a guy, when you think of Vaughn Johnson, you think of a guy who's big, he's going to fill the hole, and he's going to stop that running back in their tracks. You still need a guy to do that, but what's more important to this defense is a guy that can cover sideline to sideline and is just as capable either as a blitzer or dropping back in coverage. That's why I think they need to either bring back Quan or bring in one of the vet guys that I said and probably still kick the tires on a couple guys in the draft.
Yeah, you said the name Vaughn Johnson. Snatcher knows him very well.
I know he does. He's a teammate, right?
Yeah, well, I know him extremely well. Vaughn, God bless his soul, he's gone and passed now, and he have our condolences, his wife. But I know his kids, and I know his ex-wife, and Vaughn was what you really said, a run stopper, and with Sam Mill and Ricky and all those linebackers back then was built for the run, because now, like you were saying earlier, you have to be able to cover sideline. You have to cover back out the backfield. You have to cover a tight end. And sometimes you may have to cover a wide receiver coming across the middle. So with all that being said, like you said, the linebackers with the speed, the whole league is changing now. You can see where defensive ends now is like 6'6", but they round about two just a little bit, and I can identify where you were coming from. Yes.
Okay. And I think Marcus Davenport, the hope for the New Orleans Saints was to use his athletic ability, right, Bob, to do some coverage out there from time to time as well. Let's see. Nicholas Morrow. I heard you talking about Devondre Campbell, Damian Wilson as well is another name. Kyle Wilbur. Have you heard of those guys?
Kyle Wilbur, Nicholas Morrow, I'm pretty familiar with, especially Morrow. They're not as athletic in coverage. Morrow isn't anyway. But he is a guy that can legitimately stay on the field in every situation. I think he's a little bit old. I think he might be 29, 30. So it's not like he's on the downside of his career or anything like that. But again, that's very close to that sweet spot where the Saints look for in their free agents now. At 26, 27, 28 years old, a guy looking to make a big impact going into a shorter second contract coming off of his rookie deal to make some money as he gets into his early 30s, a la Demario Davis or a la what we're going to see out of Malcolm Brown up front. But they need athletic guys at linebacker. We saw what an impact Demario Davis made when he came to this defense in 2018. We saw it again when they acquired Quan Alexander this past year. We know what an athletic two-way linebacker can do for this defense, and that has not gone unnoticed on the Saints, and that's why I think they're going to bring in. If they bring Quan back, that checks off a big needs box. But if they don't, they're going to bring in a couple guys, probably one free agent and one through the draft.
Okay, all right, guys.
Let's
wrap up.
I want to make a turn. I want to ask my man there a question, Kyle, right quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
What do you – okay, my man. How do you feel about coaches being traded to different teams?
Coaches being traded. I mean, obviously, we've seen it with a few big names in our life. John Gruden comes to mind. Tony Dungy. At least I think it happened with Dungy. Traded. I think that it would add a very interesting and unique element to the league because we have seen situations where a coach has sort of worn out his welcome in a place and or maybe just isn't a fit for where a franchise is going next. So that kind of situation. I think if more teams or more owners were willing to trade coaches, that would open up a whole lot of desperation when it came to coaching and personnel moves throughout the league. It'd be a soap opera.
Very interesting. Yes.
Trading some coaches. Well, I know there's been some talk at one time trading some execs too. So yeah, they have talked about that as well. All right, guys. If you guys have one final question for Snatcher and Bob, put it in the comment section. Let's go with it. We're about to wrap up the show. I think that's all we can really talk about. Bob, let's just briefly tell people what to expect. This week is such a critical, important week in football. What should the people expect the next couple of days?
There's going to be, first of all, the official start of the free agent signing period is 4 p.m. On Wednesday, the 17th. That's the official start. Folks, ignore all this BS that we're going to hear in the next 48 hours about legal and illegal tampering periods. Tuesday is when we're going to see a flurry of activity throughout the league. That's when we're going to see breaking news, and us at the Saints News Network are going to be on top of it as best we can. That's when we're going to see breaking news. Player X is expected to sign with this team and that team. That's when we're really going to see the free agent news. It may not become official until Wednesday or Thursday, but the breaking news is really going to happen on Tuesday. Any pre-signing date contracts, a Jameis Winston, for example, or any team's unrestricted free agents, we're going to start to see more and more of those on Monday. That's when we could see a Jameis Winston signing. If he's to remain with the Saints, Monday or early Tuesday. And like we said before, the Saints and other teams throughout the league, mind you. So watch that waiver wire. The Saints are going to still have to make some cuts and restructure some deals to get under that salary cap.
Yeah. Really, the official non-illegal tampering starts tonight, huh?
I believe so, yeah.
And where agents are able to start talking to teams about their players who may become free agents on the market. So we're going to give you guys some coverage on what's going to happen over the next 72 hours, what to expect. Don't be surprised if the Saints don't make a major splash. The only person and the only big name that New Orleans is really focused on at the moment, from what we've been told, is Jameis Winston. Okay? So let's see. I know other teams have expressed interest in Winston as well. So let's see how that all translates out for the New Orleans Saints coming into 2020. Let's see. A couple of the last comments came through just recently. Let's see.
While you're pulling that up, there is one name I want to throw out there. But we talked about linebackers. I think cornerback is also a big need with releasing Janoris Jenkins. I think they're going to address that in the draft. But a free agent name to keep an eye on, folks, William Jackson III, 27-year-old cornerback, former first-round draft choice of the Cincinnati Bengals. Another guy, Garyon Connolly, former Ohio State guy, formerly with the Houston Texans. But I think that they'll bring in a cornerback, a young veteran cornerback in free agency as well.
Okay. All right. Look, and also expect, and Don, I think that's pretty right on target. Saints can't make a big splash. They're going to have to really build the team from depth with guys who have the potential of playing very well at spots and are cheap on the pocketbooks at the moment. All right. Snatcher.
Yes.
You had a good time?
Oh, excellent, man. I mean, the chemistry was there. The continuities was there. My man is knowledge beyond. So, and you are the steering wheel. So we got you driving. It's awesome. It's amazing. I love it, you know. So, you know, the fans who hearing our voice, we penetrating, we interjecting. The vibe is out there. They know we coming strong. We know we talking about, and we know we love them.
All right. I like it. Love it. Love it. If you guys don't know, Snatcher will be, well, we're in the works of developing a podcast for him. So we will let you guys know about that over the next several weeks. We still have some time to work and fine tune. Let's see here. Ricky, y'all did a great job. Thank you very much. Kendrick Bourne, that was a name just thrown out there, Bob. Okay. Bob, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Guys, in the next 72 hours, I think I'm going to feel like I'm everywhere. I have for the last week. But you can find me on Facebook, Bob Rose. We're over on Twitter at BobbyR2613. As y'all know, you can follow my media work through Mr. Mosley, my boss, and the Saints News Network. And also follow us in the Bayou Blitz Facebook group. It's a very interactive, very friendly, very knowledgeable group, and it's very easy to join. You don't necessarily have to be a Saints fan, but you have to understand that it's a Saints group. But that's Bayou Blitz Facebook group. And for everybody that is a member already, thank you so much for what you do. You help us out tremendously. You make us look good. You make us look smart. And your support is always appreciated. We love you for it.
All right. Cool.
Bob,
Snatcher, I know you're not on social media yet, but we're going to get you on there, man. But tell everybody whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
Well, I really want to say I'm introducing myself and Kyle to podcasts because I feel like the nation and certain parts of the world need to hear these things that's inside of me. It's a fire. It's a burning desire. And I can't wait to get to unleash it, but I have to wait on Mr. Mosley to take the red light down and put up the green light. I mean, I can go. I really would like Bob to be involved too, because he seems to be so spot on. And it's going to be, I think it's going to, yes, absolutely, Bob. I mean, it's going to be spot on. And the most important thing I can say, this will be the thing on the show. Would you do what's right or you do what's best? Both of them sound good, both of them inviting. But when you do what's right, everybody succeed. When you do what's best, you leave somebody out.
All right. Awesome. All right. Now you guys can go to @Saints News on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go ahead and follow us up. If you like what we did tonight, hit some likes. Like. It really help us out. If you're on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, Saints News Network on YouTube. Subscribe. And guys, don't forget, you can follow us each and every day at the Saints News Network. Go to www.saints.media. Real simple, guys. Go to www.saints.media for all the latest in New Orleans Saints news by Mr. Bob Rose, John Hendricks, Brendan Boylan, Mike Detillier, and myself, Kyle T. Mosley. That's Kenny, the Body Snatcher Times.
You want to hear my growl?
We used to call that big bear inside of him.
the swamp monster. Yeah.
Swamp monster. All
yeah,
right.
you know they have a lot of swamp in Louisiana. Yeah. Yeah, so whenever you want the monster to come out, they might request it one day.
Yeah, some good stories, guys. And Bob, thank you so much. Guys, don't forget to follow us up. And it's going to be a very active week. And we may have a big announcement from Drew Brees. You never, ever know. All right. You guys have a great evening, great weekend. Stay safe. Take care. Who dat?
God bless.
Take care.